I made this shit last. Burning down to the wake-up call, to the sun grows cold, to the making it down. Judgment is what we find, there's so deep out of space of dungeons. I'm cracking your bust, you find why I can't run. It's not just what was begun, we run.
You have dialed has been changed. The new number is, please note. Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and the eyes seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. Tell me this time is coming for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Now that I need you, why? I never wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat and down, I cry to less just to tell you. Don't leave the way, don't leave a tear. Then I try with a child's play in the rain. I feel like I'm fading.
Boom! And just like that, it's Thursday night. And you know what that means? It's party time. It's Video Bro time. Let's get this party started because it's going to be a riot here tonight. I'm one half of the Video Bros. I'm Bobby Munson, and the man beside me, you know him well. He's the man with the angelic voice. Here it comes. He's Mr. Papa Smokes. Papa Smokes, how you doing, sir?
Woo yeah, Munson, I'm doing great. I'm totally pumped to be here for brand new MLW action. And I'd like to send a shout out to all my MLW people out there.
Yeah, if you were watching along, the debut of MLW's new season, the debut on Pro Wrestling TV. Hello and good sir, Ed Fries 2002. Man, thank you for joining in. Battle Riot time, you bet it was. And what an exciting time it was, the Battle Riot debuting on Pro Wrestling Television. Here tonight, we got a lot to unpack here, Papa Smokes. A lot went down here tonight. This was a lot of fun. But first and foremost, damn it if I'm not excited to see brand new MLW action back on television.
And what a long wait it's been, too, for us that did this podcast every single week, every single episode of Fusion, no matter what. We had to take this whole summer and fall off pretty much, too. And that's a bit of a drag, not getting our favorite product new. But, hey, we went back into the archives. We reviewed some older action. We went back into the time capsule just to build our knowledge on what the product is today. And now we're back with Battle Riot.
Yeah, you bet. And you know what? 3 of the guys that we interviewed over this last little while joined us in the Battle Riot here tonight. We're talking about Lance Anawai. We're talking about Alex Kane and Mr. Thomas, all 3 of them participants in tonight's Battle Riot. What great things to see. But we'll unfold who was all in there. Konnichiwa, boys. Basser 69, Ryan, my man, our good buddy, and fellow PPW fan for life. Right there joining us in the chat. Thanks for joining us, buddy. We really appreciate you stopping by. Ed Fries, Basser 69, here to talk Battle Riot with us. Guys, get your questions in and let the world know the Video Bros are live and ready to party on a Thursday night. Papa Smokes, we started this night off. We've got our old announce team back. It is Joe Dabrowski and Rich Bocchini. Glad to see them back in the booth. We got Ed coming in here. We'll watch on demand later. Haven't been able to watch the Battle Riot yet. Very good idea, Ed. As much as we encourage a live aspect, if you haven't watched the Battle Riot and you don't want to know, go check it out later. But first and foremost, Papa Smokes, okay, we got the announcers back. We got our first glimpse of what MLW is going to look like on Pro Wrestling TV. And I've got to say, first of all, big shout out to Pro Wrestling TV and MLW for making this happen. This went smoothly. The service runs beautifully, no hiccups, no BS, a few commercials for pro wrestling TV in there where we got to see a little bit of the content that they offer. I was not disappointed. I really liked how this went. And before I get to your thoughts on it, Auntie Wuji, thank you for joining us as always, week after week. One of our many great people that we get to work with in PPW, and also gets to join us on a Thursday night for chat time. Go give a good shout out to Auntie Wuji right there joining us tonight. But yeah, Papa Smokes, your first thoughts on pro wrestling TV and MLW tonight?
Yeah, I was excited to see this deal. It's always good when MLW can get a partner to show their product and all that. I downloaded this app a couple weeks ago. I've been looking around at some stuff on there. I've been telling you, Munson, I want to start reviewing CYN. That'd be real funny, but I don't know if you're into it. We'll see what happens anyway. But they got some other stuff that looks pretty good on this app too, and I'm gonna look into the archives and check it out a little bit.
Yeah, you know what? It's definitely worth checking out. And you know what? Maybe we can give CYN a try. I mean, it's worth a look in. I mean, I've had a look into it and stuff like that, what I saw. But, the advertisements for it seem to be showing a totally different product than the bits I've seen before, too. So maybe I got to give it a chance. Maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe it will be the biggest mistake we made. But who knows? Who cares? We're going to have fun. Just like we had fun with a Battle Riot here tonight. To kick things off right away, got to have some people picking spots. So we had the tag team champions, Hustle and Power, being shown backstage, picking their spots in there. Calvin Tankman, a little bit coy once he picked his spot, not wanting to tell his tag partner exactly what he picked. He said that's his business and that they're competitors tonight. There is no friendship. And so EJ Nduka picks his. And I said right away, it seemed like EJ Nduka doesn't have much of a poker face because he was rocking and rolling when he saw the number that he picked.
Yeah, he had a confident look on his face, so we were kind of thinking, oh boy, the big guy's going to come out late in this and stand a good chance of winning.
Yep. Well, we'd see what happened very soon. We kick things right off. Cesar Duran coming down to the ring to introduce the New York fans, decided to mock the people with his imitation of a New York person's accent there. Pretty entertaining. I think I understood Cesar better when he was doing the New York accent rather than when he's yelling and screaming into a microphone week after week. But he got his things in. He said that whoever wins the battle riot is going to have to go through his henchmen to even have a chance at Hammerstone. And to which Hammerstone came out and said, oh, yeah, hold my beer. And he's going to do something about that. Beat the living piss out of the henchmen of Cesar Duran. And then we got a nice little touch on top of that because continuing on from what the end of last season had, Richard Holiday making a absolutely brutal attack on Alexander Hammerstone, hitting him several times with a chair, clubbing him with said chair into the stomach. And I believe the comment was exactly, I own you, you son of a bitch. Is this what a champion's supposed to look like as he rubbed that championship in Hammer's face? Fuck yeah, Pop Smokes. I have no problem with them continuing this storyline.
Yeah, we speculated for a long time going into the summer fall break, thinking, what will they have for Hammerstone in the upper part of the card? Who's going to be the next challenger for him? There was various possibilities of both on the heel and babyface side, but we both said that we would be pleased as punch if it was Richard Holiday still, because they had a nice program last year that built up to the penultimate title match there, which Holiday came up short in, but we both said we would be happy to see this continue, and it looks like they're going to go with that for now.
Yeah, you bet. And I'm all for it. We said it before. We could be all down with that. So this was a nice touch. Hammer gets taken out. They did mention that he was being seen to by the MLW medical team backstage and that we would get an update, I'm assuming probably next week, which kind of weird. They actually said next week is the official season premiere of MLW Fusion. So this was really just a Battle Riot special to kick things off, kind of a season opener, you should say. But next week is the official first episode of Fusion of the new season. From there, we went to a video all of a sudden recapping a little bit of what happened with Mods Kruger at the end of his battle with Jacob Fatu. We saw a video last season where he was crawling through kind of a dark corridor. He came up to the feet of somebody and grabbed onto him. And Astrid, join us in the chat. Astrid, good evening to you as well, too. Hey, we have some talking to do because somebody entered this battle riot, and they are from over on the Impact side. By the way, after us, make sure to check out Astrid and Cody on Making an Impact as they talk all things Impact Wrestling. But somebody from Impact made their way over, and we don't feel it was a very fair trade. We gave Impact Wrestling David Richards from MLW, and what we got, not fair, not fair. We'll talk about that in a short little bit when we talk about the entries. Just not one of our favorite people, put it that way. We like a lot of people over in Impact. This one they could have kept. We'll go on from there. We got this video package of mods. It was a continuation of the video that we got last season. And now we see the face of whoever it was that was before him. We see that there is somebody behind it. Neither one of us could figure out who it was. So we're not familiar with the person behind mods, is kind of new person, backing them up. Hans Mods Kruger, the new mask that we've seen, if you've seen the images of him from the Independents right now, also known as Cruel out there on the Independent scene. But the new mask doing more to cover the face. It's a lot sharper looking, a lot meaner looking. Really, it does a lot for his character, I think. It really covers up the fact that the idea that he was burnt up last season, so that face is going to be more deformed. He's got to make sure that it's unseen. I thought nice touch. And again, I'm still curious to see what the plan is and what things unfold with Kruger moving forward.
Yeah, and you notice when he entered the Battle Riot, also they had still the same kind of graphics in the background and same music and all that. So I don't know if they're going to change him all that much. And I mean, the mask is a little bit different, but he still had the same pants and boots and all that stuff. So I don't know how drastic this change is going to be. I'm still interested, however.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad to see him back on the screen personally because we both really like his work.
Yeah.
Right after this video played, we went to another selection for the Battle Riot. So this time it was the Beaumaye Fight Club of Myron Reed and Alex Kane picking their spots. This was fun. This was exactly what you need from a good heel team that gets it. So what they do, Myron picks his number, and then Alex Kane distracts the referee that's overseeing things. Myron then starts digging in until he finds a number he thinks is more suitable. And just right as the referee turns around and goes, "Oh yeah, okay, you've got your number," then Reed starts talking to him about his middleweight championship with the referee, distracting him while Alex Kane starts digging through until he gets a number he wants. Both guys look very pleased with their spots in the Battle Riot here tonight, Bob Smokes.
Yeah, this was a good bit of backstage fun. Just like during the Royal Rumbles, they would make the picking of the numbers kind of a little bit part of the story and a bit of the suspense as well. And we all remember how slick Eddie Guerrero was with picking a number and then sticking it in someone else's pocket and stealing their number and all the rest of that kind of stuff. This was reminiscent of that. I enjoyed it highly.
It was a very beautiful touch, and that meant that it's already that time because we're here for one thing and one thing only. And because we're at this point, I get to say it nice and early in the evening. It's time for the main event of the evening. This is the Battle Riot.
Not bad.
Not bad.
I like a little bit of sauce in your voice there. It sounds good, Munson.
We're getting there, but we're just getting fired up. It's a brand new season. I'm gonna really belt it out this season. We're gonna give the people something good. But speaking of something good, 40 contestants inside the Battle Riot matchup. Really, essentially anything goes, all that kind of stuff. It's all on the line. Pinfall, submission, or over the top rope with both feet hitting the floor. And Mick Wiggin, main event. You got that right, sir. It is the main event time. It's the Battle Riot match, and it's time to rock and roll and find out who was in this thing and what we thought of this whole thing. So, Pop Smokes, let's start breaking down for the good people what we saw. Number one coming out was the very unpredictable EJ Nduka. Man, talk about, he actually did have a poker face. He made it seem like he's going to be coming in number 40. EJ Nduka, apparently he's all ready to go. He wants to beat last year's elimination record where he dumped a third of the contestants over the top rope and eliminated them. This year, he gets number one. Maybe he could take out all 39. But standing in his way, the interesting spot of number two, his own tag team partner, Calvin Tankman. This was a fun way to start things off.
Yeah, and you could see the guys were kind of confused. The fans were a little bit confused at first, but hell yeah, this is a battle royal. Let's see every man for himself. Let's see these guys trade some blows, and really they didn't get into it all that much because they kind of took their time getting going. They were going to do a little wrestling match there, but by that time the number 3 was already coming out, so they had somebody to work with.
Yeah, number 3 was coming out. In fact, you could go and
Yeah.
check out the replay of our interview with this man right here, Mr. Thomas the Bomaye
my
Fight Club. Man, what a good sight to see Mr. Thomas get into this thing and talk about the beef inside that ring to kick it off. All 3 of these boys, big in structure, large in power. What a fight we got on our hands.
Absolutely. And all these guys that we've interviewed from MLW are just my favorites on the roster now because we've talked to such nice guys. Mr. Thomas, that was a good time interviewing him. So was just so happy to get him to see his spot in the ring, even though he got double teamed pretty bad by Hustle and Power. Still good to see him.
And yeah, speaking of good guys, we got Mr. Corporate Joe himself joining us in the chat. Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening, Joe. Very glad you're able to join us here tonight, talking all things Battle Riot and what a Battle Riot it was after we got these 3 beefy men inside the ring slugging it out. Poor Mr. Thomas taking a bit of an ass kicking from the Hustle and Power Tag Team Champions. Then Lince Dorado makes his way to the squared circle. And, well, it didn't even things out for poor Mr. Thomas. Lince Dorado getting in on the fun of the beatdown of Mr. Thomas in the corner of the ring. Things not looking so well there. And this is kind of where they started bringing out the speed of the matchup. This is where the luchadors started coming out here, Papa Smokes. So we'll run down a little bit here. We had Lince Dorado followed by Ares, coming out. And I like Ares. I mean, we've said it before on the last season.
Yeah.
Ares stands out like a sore thumb, and I really like his work. So I'm glad to see him out there still. And then, of course, number 6, pound for pound, the toughest wrestler in the world. And I think secretly maybe Mr. Thomas's favorite wrestler as well, too. Micro Man. This comes up next. We talked about, it's all these trios matchups that he's involved in a lot last season. Where could you use them still? They found a way inside this matchup. There was a few very, very creative spots. We'll talk about the way he was eliminated too, but I do got to mention that one spot where I think he's hanging. I'm not going to say who he's hanging on to because I don't think we've mentioned who it is yet, but where they were on the outside of the ring ropes and Microman's holding onto the dude's arm and kicking his legs while holding on and still staying in the matchup. I thought it was a fun little touch. Different ways you could still use Microman. MLW is finding a way to keep the shelf life for Microman going.
And I think they laid out the Battle Riot more cleverly this year than they did last year because having the speed and the aerial maneuvers of all the luchadors early in this match and gave them more room in the ring to do their stuff, including Microman too. You couldn't have him in a packed ring with a whole bunch of huge guys. It just wouldn't work out. So they put some of this stuff at the beginning while there's still room to do it. And it saved us from the clogged up ring that we've seen in a couple of the Battle Riots before.
Yeah, this one never got too clogged in this one. That was big credit to them. Like, eliminations were fast and furious. And we know that it was actually just before Microman's entrance that the 3 big boys of the matchup actually went over. It looked like Mr. Thomas was going to end up dumping, I believe it was Tankman over the top. And then EJ and Duca come along. He knocked both of them over, which ticked off Calvin Tankman, distracting EJ and Duca, and then allowing the 2 luchadors in the ring of Ares and Lince Dorado to use their speed and quickness to eliminate EJ and Duca from this thing. So a lot of that big, heavy beef was taken out. After Microman, again, Mini Abismo Negro came out. And then we got a new entrant, new to the MLW world anyway, La Estrella from Dragon Gate, which you mentioned something interesting here, Papa Smokes. It was weird that La Estrella had the exact same outfit pretty much as Lince Dorado, the color matching and everything. Just that shirt that he was wearing was about the only difference between the 2 guys.
Yeah, and then when they both fought each other pretty much the whole time too, so it was a little bit disorienting for a while there, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly. From there, we got Casey Navarro coming out, and we know that from news reports, Casey Navarro was not going to be part of MLW moving forward. So I believe this might be the last or second last time that we do see Lince Dorado as part of MLW. At least for now, he's a young guy.
Casey Navarro. Yeah.
Yeah, Casey Navarro. He's a young guy, though. Again, we've seen returns happen quite often for MLW, and I wouldn't be surprised if, with a little bit more experience, Casey Navarro makes a return down the road for sure. Up next here was an interesting one, making his second round in the Battle Riot matchups. We saw this last year. A legend, Kim Chi, gets in the ring, and Kim Chi did not have such a good night in there. The Luchadors immediately making a big attack on Kim Chi, taking him down, and in what was a fairly creative submission maneuver to end Kim Chi's run in the match. Every single luchador had a hold of a limb of Kim Chi, and then Microman getting on top of his shoulders and just continuously straight punches to the top of the head of Kim Chi until he was forced to say he was done and end his night there.
Well, and nobody likes Kim Chi, obviously, because he was so mean to Kamala for all those years, right? I mean, that's got to be it. Everybody went after him right off the bat, and I can't blame them. Kim Chi coming in there with his little whip and his riding crop or whatever you call it. Yeah, he's no good, man, and I'm glad they all teamed up on him and put him out by submission.
Yeah, that's right. It was a great spot. And actually, the credit to the commentary team as well, too, for pointing out the cruelty towards Kamala, which is what provoked the Luchadors to all immediately team up on Kim Chi and give him the ass kicking he deserved. From there, we had Joel Maximos come out, which is a legend, one of the MLW originals from 20 years ago when they started the company. We did get to see him and his brother recently at the very tail end of the last year's season of Fusion. So he enters into the ring, and then business picks up from there, Papa Smokes, because the number 12 entrant, you might see him on your TV on Friday nights right now, but before that, he was taping with MLW. Killer Cross gets in this ring, and man, he starts taking guys out pretty damn quick. A few fast eliminations for Killer Cross upon entry.
Yeah, TikTok, Munson. Everybody's time is running out when that guy gets to the ring, and we've talked about him a few times before. It's nice when he drops in to make these shots at MLW. I don't suppose he will be now in the position he's in, but always a pleasure with him. He looks like $1 million. He's huge. He's got that great body. He's got those crazy eyes. I love it. Anytime we get a treat to see him, it's fun.
Yeah, sure is. I had a good time watching him here tonight. And then, okay, if Astrid's still listening in, here you go. From Impact Wrestling, and they made a big deal out of this one, making his MLW return despite the fact that he lost a loser must leave MLW for good match in a previous season. Sami Callihan.
He got his ass fired from the company in his last match too.
Yeah, and I spent most of this match just cheering for somebody to take his ass out of there. I'm sorry if anyone's a fan. I'm not a fan of Sami Callihan, and I did not want to see him in the Battle Riot. Just not a fair trade. We give you Davey Richards over an Impact. Come on, give us Josh Alexander. That would be nice. I mean, I think that's fair. Davey Richards for a Josh Alexander appearance. Come on. Come on.
Yeah, Alexander likes to work with Fatu. Also, I'll take him. Sure, he's their champ, though, isn't he? They can't just send him over anytime.
Oh, yeah, I mean, come on. The two companies clearly want to work together. I mean, the commentary guys were going nuts about what would happen if Callahan were to win this thing. Would the MLW Championship ever be featured on Impact Wrestling? So it's almost like they're kind of teasing the idea that the two companies are ready to possibly do a crossover work together. So, hey, that's something to look forward to. If that ever happens, we'll be able to do a little bit of a crossover episode with our good friends with Making an Impact there. We could have a Making an Impact fusion mashup. I think it'd be fantastic. But let's continue on with this list. Up next, we had Real One himself, Enzo, coming out. This ended up being one of your early predictions to possibly win this thing, the way they were going with it, Papa Smokes. His first act getting into this thing goes right up as poor little Microman standing on the edge of the rope or edge of the ring and just boots him right in the back of the head, takes him out. That crowd was livid at this point. Instant heat for Enzo.
Yeah, Microman had gone over the top rope, but he was standing on the apron and was going to try and make his way between the ropes. But it was on that ramp side, and Enzo came out and just football kicked him in the back right off the apron. Yeah. Just like a sack of garbage. It looked pretty funny, but boy, he got heat from the fans for that one.
He sure did. And then Enzo actually rolled to the outside of the ring where he spent a lot of time this evening in this matchup being very smart about not getting involved with the match itself, but making another attack on young Casey Navarro, putting him up into that razor's edge, that cross power bomb there, and throwing him right into that ring post one more time that put Casey Navarro on the shelf previously. I mean, I guess if you weren't planning to call him back for the new season, that's one way to write him off your TV right there.
Yeah, and that's how Enzo got him before, was kind of that razor's edge into the ring post, and he was trying to get all kinds of people with that, but he got Casey again. They'll make it an injury angle as to why he's out, and yeah, I wouldn't mind seeing him in the future. I think there's something there with this kid, and he's young and flashy, and if he has a good head on his shoulders, he could make some money in the business.
I agree too. Yeah, definitely we'll see him back sometime. Coming up next is a couple of legends, actually. We got Gangrel still active on the MLW roster coming into this thing. Man, Gangrel still looks good. He still gets in there, mixes that up pretty decently. If you go back and check out the special episode that myself and Chris Parrish did last night, you actually can hear a really cool story about Chris Parrish getting to meet and work with Gangrel at one point in time in his career and stuff like that. And what an awesome story to hear. So go check that out. We had a very special busting out that we did last night. And that story is definitely in there, along with a lot of other great stories that we got to be told by Chris Parrish about his time in professional wrestling.
We also had Gangrel at a show in Regina a few years back, so we know some of the local wrestlers that interacted with Gangrel. They all said he was the nicest guy, so helpful, would do anything, helping everybody, went over everybody's matches with them afterwards, like just a veteran giving back to the business. I've always respected him after I heard so many good things about him.
Exactly. And then up next, somebody else who has spent time in the Battle Riot before making his Battle Riot debut last Battle Riot and coming back for a second time, Quang the Ninja. In case you don't remember Quang the Ninja from 1990s WWF, he's still around and he's in MLW making Battle Riot appearances, but it didn't last too long and it was pretty forgettable.
And what is it with Battle Riot and having these ex-WWE mask kind of men come in with obviously someone different playing them? I'm not sure what's behind that or why they pick those ones, but somewhat amusing, I guess.
They're the ones that the trademark ran out on a long time ago.
Yeah, probably. Probably.
I mean, you know what? Why not, right? Like, I mean, if you can, I guess. I mean, milk the name.
We'll get Max. Right? We'll get Max Moon next.
You know what, we should, and if Conan can come back and play him,
Conan, yeah,
I know that would be fantastic. We could still get the original Max Moon in an MLW ring. I would love to see it. Let's go for it.
Hey, but no blue blazer though, please.
Yeah, that one. No.
Okay, I ain't going there.
Yeah, but up next, Papa's folks, you're talking about party time, Bud fucking Heavy enters the Battle Riot. Man, I love seeing Bud Heavy on TV. I don't care if it's for a short period of time or a long time. Man, this is our boy Bud Heavy entering the Battle Riot. Fantastic.
Cheers to Bud.
Cheers to Bud. Should be saying like cheers to Bud. No, that's the wrong kind of Bud right there. We won't be talking about that. But our boy Bud Heavy entering into this thing. And then up next, I believe a return to MLW, but haven't been around for a long time. I'm pretty sure it's been in MLW a while back, if I'm not mistaken. Little Guido of the FBI joining this Battle Riot match. And like you said, hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, he looks exactly the same. He looks really good. It was kind of a kick to see the FBI. I remember seeing them live in Saskatoon at a SmackDown show a long time ago, 15 years ago or more, and the FBI were the opening match on it, and they were good. They were funny. They got the crowd going.
Yeah, exactly. And they know their place. He did a good job. Up next, speaking of short-lived in the Battle Riot, we got Jose Maximos, who might have suffered one of the shortest runs inside this Battle Riot, coming in, getting eliminated fairly quick. And then followed up number 20. Here we go. It's Davey Richards joining the fold. Davey Richards, we knew was going to go long distance in this thing. Obviously, a main player in MLW, going to be going into the new season as well here too. So again, an odds-on favorite to potentially win this thing, to be the competitor for Alexander Hammerstone's World Heavyweight Championship. Looked great in this too.
Yeah, I'll say. And you know that when Davey Richards enters the ring. He's all business. Everybody kind of has to perk up and watch and say, oh, damn, this guy's coming for me. He's coming for all of us. And he carries that intensity with him everywhere. And that's why he's taken serious in every company that he works for. He's always a top guy.
You bet he is. So that's 20 guys down. We got 20 more competitors to go. Up next, another one of our boys, Papa Smokes. We got the chance to interview this young man not that long ago, and what a great, fantastic human being he is. I was popping hard when I heard him coming out. Lance Anoa'i entering the fold of the MLW and holding the record for the only competitor to be in all 4 Battle Riot matchups.
That's a good one to have too. And we watched the old one where he eliminates his dad from it. That was pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I believe that was the very first Battle Riot effect that he did that at. So yeah,
Yeah.
Lance Anoa'i is a very well first competitor inside the Battle Riot. Again, hopefully maybe being able to hold his own in this one and go the distance. We'd soon find out. Up next, somebody that we got to know a little bit more about through someone we did interview, Tristan Ty, who's worked with this guy and been friends with him for a long time. We're talking about Ken Broadway, and I think our interest in Ken Broadway definitely went up after speaking to Tristan Ty about him.
For sure. And we saw a couple of his matches too. He looks pretty good. He's a great big guy. He's big and strong. He's got a cool gimmick where he's like he's a guy that's got all kinds of money, and he's always flipping the money around all the time and everything. And I like Ken Broadway a whole bunch, but he wasn't featured prominently in the Battle Riot.
Cash Flow Ken Broadway, yeah, an early elimination, but got a few good spots in as well too. So people got the chance to see him. I want to see more of them. And you know what? Maybe there's another guy that we got to get over on the show here to join us for an interview. I think that would be another great one to talk to. After Ken Broadway, we've got one member of 5150. It's Homicide entering the fold.
Yeah, he's a perennial MLW guy. He'll show up every so often when needed. He's certainly not working a full schedule anymore, but always a pleasure to see Homicide come in and do his bits.
You bet. After that, this was a guy that neither one of us were familiar with. And once we heard what he's into, that's kind of why we figured we hadn't heard of him. We got Ricky Shane Page, RSP, as they were calling him throughout the night, joining this one. And they said this guy is a well-versed deathmatch guy. And already I said, nope.
Yeah, no, same thing for me. I'm not into that kind of scene whatsoever. I don't think you can put deathmatch and legend in the same sentence like these guys were. They were trying to sell them on the microphone or whatever. But yeah, I have no interest in this. The guy came out to the ring with a garbage can full of weapons, started pulling tables out. Just I don't care for this stuff.
No, exactly. Yeah, went right to the weapons. I had already written him off personally, so let's skip by him. Because guess what? Up next, we got a fun guy in that ring. Juicy Finau of the Samoan SWAT team. Looked like he's fresh from the deli from having a few sandwiches. He's looking ready to fucking mix it up in there. And man, did he mix it up good. My favorite Juicy Finau spot, folks, in this one was when he went to that top. It was the top rope too. Oh. When they had the poor. This is coming up, so I won't say who, but there is somebody that's laid out for him, and he comes off that top rope with the frog splash, and that ring shook so goddamn much that every competitor fell on his back right then and there.
Yeah, it was like an earthquake when he hit the middle of the ring. It just, the reverberation just knocked everybody off their feet for real, and wow, what a spot. Even he can do the super fly, hey, in his little cut off half shirt there. That was pretty cool.
I loved it. I like Juicy. Juicy, another one I'd love to get on the show sometime. I think we'd have a lot of fun talking to him. So definitely putting him on the radar for the new season being up here as well too. Speaking of that guy who got flattened by poor Juicy, he was up next. It was one of the Azteca henchmen. They started referring to him as Azteca henchman number 80, but the commentators really kind of wrote any henchman involvement off pretty quick here. And so they should. They didn't go very far any of the times they were entered in. After that, number 27, we got to see Dr. Dax get in there, finally off his leash. Holodead letting him out to play, and he enters into the Battle Riot. He's a big boy, that Dr. Dax.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. He looked like one of the biggest guys in there, and he came in like a house of fire. He was throwing some strikes and throwing his weight around a little bit, but Dr. Dax never going to be an upper card guy, I don't think, and he lost his momentum fairly quick in this.
Yeah, he sure did. After that, now we're talking about business picking up more than ever. It's former world heavyweight champion and probably one of the best professional wrestlers on the market today. We're talking about Jacob Fatu. And yeah, now I'm pumped because Jacob Fatu gets in there. He starts kicking ass and taking names. He did awesome in this battle riot.
Yeah, no surprise there. Fatu's just going to make whatever match he's in into his own match, and he was knocking people, he was Samoan dropping people, eliminating people, and he's an absolute force of nature in there, and also got to be one of the favorites to win it.
Yeah, you bet he's got to be. And we would have our eyes on that for sure. From there, after that, we got another big boy and somebody else who you got to think is an odds on favorite. We got Mods Kruger finally returning, coming down to that ring. Man, we're starting to get the big boys back in there, Pop Smokes. We're starting to get the beef inside that ring, and they're mixing it up, throwing it down heavy. Again, Mods Kruger, Jacob Fatu, they've got that unsettled business, or what you think it would be settled by now, but I don't think you can ever settle what those two have put each other through.
Well, especially with Mods Kruger just returning from his radioactive injuries that he got during the match against Fatu. I'm sure revenge is on his mind, and Fatu's going to have eyes on the back of his head anytime Mods Kruger is in the building.
Yeah, you bet. And from there, let's have a look at the old notes. We got Will Maximos, I believe, making his debut in MLW, the very younger brother of the Maximos brothers that we saw earlier in the night. Yeah, that wasn't much of a debut. Mods Kruger pretty much kicking his goddamn head off and taking him out within seconds of this one starting.
Yeah. They made a big deal about Los Maximos appearing in the Battle Riot, and then, boy, they didn't make much noise in it.
Yeah, they really didn't. But Will Maximo's getting his first little showing. And up next, and we got to give this the proper treatment. We can't just say the name, because if you don't say it with a capital W, capital A, capital R, capital H, capital O, capital R, capital S, capital E, Warhorse, Warhorse, Warhorse. That's who was up next. And oh man, what a fun guy.
Yeah, he's fun, and we've seen him drop in for a few matches here and there also, and whether he's kind of enhancement talent, I think he won a match or two in his previous run there, but I think he's mostly a job guy here. But Warhorse is a lot of fun, and the crowd takes to him. He's good to have for an event like the Battle Riot.
Yeah, you bet. He was a lot of fun in this one, too. Again, the guy's making the instant mistake of trying to put Warhorse's head into the turnbuckle. We know that just fires Warhorse up. He is the metalhead. He turns around and he starts laying out a good dosing of some headbanging inside that matchup here tonight. What a great guy. What an interesting one. And then number 32, we get to finally see where those sneaky little picks paid off. Myron Reed, the young GOAT, the MLW middleweight champion, making his way to the ring inside this Battle Riot. And again, Myron Reed, we've said this before, he's been in MLW a while. He's the only person in MLW to be a multi-time champion. He's the 3-time MLW middleweight champion. And this guy is sharp. If anybody should have their eyes on a young talent right now, the young GOAT, Myron Reed, definitely should be looked at. What a talent he is, and what an asset to MLW.
I agree, and we've been watching this kid for a few years now, and he was quite good when we first started watching him, but he's improved a lot, and he's got that slick in-ring style, it kind of almost reminds me of TJP kind of style, where you can see this guy's been wrestling his whole life because every move is smooth and fluid and everything, and I just think Myron Reed's a huge talent. Any company would be so happy to have him, but I'm personally glad that he's in MLW.
Speaking of a huge talent and somebody that should be picked up by any company, right there, our good friend Chris Parrish joining us in the ring. What's up? You bet. What's up? It's MLW time. It's Battle Riot time. But, we didn't get any surprise entrant of Chris Parrish in this thing. A little disappointed about that. But, hey, there's always Battle Riot 5. Court Bauer, our boy Chris Parrish, wants in on that Battle Riot. Pick him up here today. There's your opportunity. From there, let me get back to the notes. Let's see. So we got Henchman two of them at the exact same time. And again, I said this to you because they've done this before. They send two people out at the exact same time. And I go, are they the same number, or is this them going out and this acts as number 33 and number 34 simultaneously? That's exactly what it did. And we found that out as we got to the number 40 entrant. And I was looking, I'm like, oh no, we've missed a spot along the way there. So yeah, that's the way it was. But once again, they kind of messed up the timeline, bringing two guys out at the exact same time.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do. They're timing it for TV and all that stuff, and maybe they just didn't want to give each of those henchmen job guys a full on entrance or whatever. But I know that confused us last year, but it's not like they were going to make any dent in the battle riot anyway, I guess.
Yeah, you bet. And from there, we got going down. Oh, Matt Cross joining this thing. And again, they said Matt Cross joining into the MLW Battle Riot just last year. I kind of forgot that that's when he made his debut. It felt like he's been around a whole lot longer than that. In fact, Matt Cross has had, a plethora of matches that he was given in the last season of MLW Fusion. It seemed like he was featured very heavily throughout the season. And I can see why. Matt Cross goes out there. He gives you nice, clean work. He gives you excitement. Fans know him. They know how to connect with him. He goes out there and does exactly what he needs to do. He's not out there to necessarily be the most over guy, the main event guy, or anything like that, but he's out there to give you a good show every time he's in the ring.
Yeah, until he tries to do one of his signature spots and Sami Callihan botches it by not being in the right spot at the right time. But hey, we're not going to talk about that.
It's not that kind of show. Again, not our cup of tea. So we'll move on from the things that aren't. So go on from there. Right after Matt Cross, we got returning to MLW, making his return after having a little bit of time off. I think he was there up until a point where they did the shutdown. He never came back after the COVID-19 lockdowns that MLW went through. But he's back now. We're talking about Mance Warner stepping into this thing, looking just as sharp as he did when he was on his way out of MLW. Very interested to see Mance Warner back in the fold.
Yeah, I kind of like Mance, and he was an upper card guy when he was there before, and they gave him a lot of time and a lot of development and everything. I like him. I'm not a complete fan. He does some pretty silly stuff, including some silly deathmatch stuff as well. But for the most part, I'm down with the Southern Psycho, and got to drink a light beer with that guy. And I think he's all right.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, for what we've seen in MLW of him and stuff like that too, it hasn't been about the death matches and everything or anything too wild. So for the most part, it's not too bad when you get a guy in there that can work like Mance Warner can, and he mixes it up with some of the guys and helps put some of these guys over. Hey, that's a good acquisition. So Mance Warner comes out, and then, hey, now we're talking about another guy. He's another one of our boys because he joined us just a couple of weeks ago. We're talking about the leader, the man who started it all, Bomaye. We're talking about the suplex assassin, Alex Kane, coming into this thing. And yeah, Alex Kane, any day of the week. We're talking Mr. Number, 86 on the top 500 PWI singles wrestlers. This guy is shooting up the freaking charts year after year. He is new to this business, but he's taken it by storm. And I wouldn't have been surprised if this one ended up being Alex Kane's night.
Yeah, I could have seen that completely because he came out, started throwing people, T-bone suplexes, double underhook suplexes, side suplexes, everything. Well, just making a huge entrance in there. And you and I know firsthand, not only is his in-ring pretty good, he's kind of almost follows in the shoes of a shooter, of a Bob Backlund or something like that, with all his collegiate wrestling skill. But you and I also found out he's a very personable guy, and he's not a very polite wrestler when he's on MLW. He doesn't give a damn about the fans or anything. But this guy can talk, and he's funny, and he's got personality, and he knows how to get heat as a heel. And I love any match that Alex Kane appears in, and this one he made a big appearance towards the end of the match.
And we got Chris Parrish saying he's shooting up faster than, well, I won't finish that line, but he's shooting up. Yeah, you know what? But Alex Kane is a rising star, and if you haven't checked out his work, this is a guy that you're going to be seeing a lot more from. Again, I will be shocked if MLW can keep this guy under contract long enough. I know he's there for the time being, but I can imagine he's got to be turning heads, especially from some of the bigger companies. I'm sure that they want an opportunity to have the suplex assassin within their ranks.
I would think so. I hope not, for just simply for our sake, but I would never want a guy to not move upwards in the business. But I also think it's a good thing for some of these talents to stay in a MLW or a company like that for as long as they can, where they can be themselves, where they don't get saddled with some silly storyline or some unrealistic gimmick. Stay here and work on your stuff so that your foundation is always strong, you know?
Well, the more their value goes up too, when the big guys look at them and want to bring them in, it's kind of hard for them to switch them up when they've already established such a strong name within these ranks before, because too many people know them to buy into a gimmick change. But then again, we've seen it before, even within their very own company. Some companies just change people right the hell up whenever they feel like it.
Yeah, yeah. The big company doesn't care who you were. Like they'll do whatever they want anyway. Tony Khan's company is a bit different. They'll more or less let you be what you were, but subject you to some questionable storytelling or booking, whatever you want to call it. But I think MLW is a good training ground. I think guys should stay and be themselves for as long as they can.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It's a chance to really do what you do best, and then that way, working within MLW, they get those opportunities to still work with some of the other independents, work outside of North America for various companies as well too. Plus, MLW, the reason it's fusion is they opened up the doors with different companies, working with places like AAA and Dragon Gate. So there's opportunity for guys like Alex Kane to be able to travel the world and go work for these companies and have an established name working with some of the people who work there already.
Yeah, and don't forget MLW Fusion, even though it's not on classic cable television or whatever, is still a TV show. You're still learning not only your in-ring and your promo skills, but you're learning the art of being on TV as well. And that's very hard to teach unless you're in that situation where you're in front of the camera. You know where the cameras are at ringside and all that stuff, all the intricacies of being effective on television, plus just the experience of doing it. Because I imagine that's pretty nerve wracking being on a big show, and those guys need to get more hours under their belt just so that they're ready to make the jump when the time happens.
Yeah, exactly. Moving on from Alex Kane, though, we had another person who would be considered a legend these days, Savio Vega, who's been around MLW for quite some time, entering into the fold. Didn't really take away much from the match. Savio Vega was kind of in, and he was out pretty quick as well, too. But again, he knows what he's there for. He comes in, he gets that pop because he's a legend. He's done so much for the industry. He gets in there, puts a couple of guys over, allows himself to move on. Hey, he gets a pretty good paycheck for only having to be out there for a few minutes.
For sure, and not to forget that he's part of the agreement between MLW and the Puerto Rican promotion as well. So him being kind of the crux between those two, he's going to represent for that company within MLW, and that's pretty cool.
Plus, we know that he's been up to something. Last season, again, he was the one that sent Microman into the suitcase that was hidden inside Cesar Duran's office and got some very good information on the boss, Cesar Duran. Again, haven't quite found out exactly what they found out about Cesar, but again, we know Cesar has had a vendetta against Microman as a result of that. So we know that it must have been something pretty juicy.
Now that's some long-term storytelling right there, Muntz, and that's been months since we saw that little spot, and even in the days of Selena De La Renta, she was working on toppling Cesar Duran and a few other people as well, and we know he's up to something, but we'll see what happens in this storyline. And I imagine once he gets found out, that'll be the end of the Azteca influence in the company, at least storyline-wise, for a while.
You bet. So the next entrant up, and this would be entrant number 39 in this matchup. This one was a brand new thing for the Battle Riot. Up until this point, every entrant in the Battle Riot has been a male competitor. The first time ever a female competitor enters the Battle Riot match, Taya Valkyrie entering this thing. And like I said, if you're going to put one of the members of the female roster in there, Taya definitely not a bad choice. She definitely, I think, could kick a few asses of the guys in this matchup for sure. I'm sure she could have taken on a few just by herself.
Oh, absolutely. And Valkyrie, a good wrestler, very strong person as well. She came in there, started spearing some people, and taking them off their feet. This was good, and it made sense. She was strong enough to hang in this match with the men without it looking ridiculous or anything like that, or without Juicy Finau selling for her moves or whatever. This looked good. She came in, she got some spots off, and then out as quickly, but still making history coming in as a female competitor. It was good. It was well done.
Yeah, exactly. I was happy for her to get that opportunity. I was happy that MLW gave that opportunity, and it was given to the right person at the same time. I think out of all the female roster, the other one that could have been put into the spot wouldn't have maybe got the pop that Taya did, but Holodead would have held her own in there as well too, and would have made sense as well.
Yeah, definitely. She could physically hang in there with the guys for sure.
Yeah. So the last entrant into this whole thing, somebody making their MLW debut, and they would be in and out just like a light because they went to sign for one of the other guys shortly after this taping. Parker Boudreaux, I believe is how it's pronounced, making his MLW debut, a big boy in this thing. And when he went in there straight for Killer Cross, straight for Taya Valkyrie, he dumped Taya Valkyrie over the top. And then he ends up bumping into Killer Cross, and these two big boys, they started shooting on each other.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about MLW. They value the big guys still, and because it's a rush for the fans to see two huge guys facing off in the ring, and we've got a whole bunch in this match, from Kruger and Killer Cross to Parker Boudreaux. So I mean, even if that ended up just being his only spot, or maybe he has a couple other matches in this same set of tapings, but he's still an attraction just for the way that he looks. He looks like Brock Lesnar Jr. kind of thing. Looks very much like him, all tattooed up, big crazy guy. I don't know that he's that good of a wrestler yet or anything like that, but again, that's not even really necessary in an appearance like this. You want the way that he looks and the intensity that he brings to the ring, and that's what you got exactly out of it. Is an entrance, a couple of moves, and a little pop from the crowd, and that's probably all you need from this spot.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'm disappointed in is not getting to see what they could have done with him in MLW if he would have stuck around. I think it would have been a great opportunity to see if he could cut his teeth there. And I mean, again, like last year, we had EJ the Judge and Duca join up. EJ come in, I mean, not known for having a lot of experience when he first came to MLW, but he's been picking up as he goes. And that's what MLW is great for, is giving these guys opportunities to really get in there, have matches with very experienced veterans at times, and protecting them at the same time. EJ's been very well protected. And I think the same could have been done for Parker Boudreaux here had he not gone off and signed with AEW shortly after these tapings, which I'm assuming this is pretty much the only appearance we do get from him. I would have liked to have seen where they could have gone with him.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess we'll never know now. And now it sounds like Parker is stuck on the Friday night B show of AEW, and stuck in yet another spooky faction of some sort that nobody cares about. And but I'm sure he's making decent money there.
I'm sure he is too, but I mean, good for him. I would have liked to see more of the wrestling portion of it first. And you know what? Maybe that'll come in AEW yet too, and I'll have a reason to turn into some more Parker Boudreaux matchups. So again, everybody, you got to give him a chance. Maybe it's not our cup of tea at times, but there's something that'll come out of this boy. And I know that seeing him here tonight was definitely a lot of fun. So let's talk about where we went from here. So we're going to break down the final four for you guys. This one came down to Sami Callihan. Of course, the one person we didn't want in the Final Four, and they had to leave us with it, with that thought that Impact Wrestling were going to be the ones to take over and get this win. We also left with Jacob Fatu, Enzo, and Killer Cross. And I mean, we're talking about a very interesting Final Four at this point. Obviously, from there, Callahan, the first one, dumped out of there. Booyah. Thank you, Enzo. This was an interesting spot. Well, it was Enzo assisted by Killer Cross on this one in particular, as they took Sami Callihan over the top to the apron. It was Enzo who did most of the work, and then Killer Cross coming in with that boot to end things, taking Callahan out, which inevitably formed a short alliance between Killer Cross and Enzo as they tried to work to break down Jacob Fatu at the end of this thing. And again, it was too funny when Callahan and Enzo were on that apron. This same MLW crowd that picked up signs when Enzo came for his debut in MLW that said, of all the people in the world, you give us this. This crowd started cheering for Enzo and were enjoying the idea of Enzo putting Sami Callihan out of this matchup. What the hell happened here, Papa Smokes? This guy got heat all night, and then they're cheering for him.
Yeah, I can't explain. Every crowd's different, but you can't deny that Enzo, or Real One, I guess as they're calling him now, he's got a charisma to him. Whether he's a heel or a babyface, his charisma is undoubtable, and I think the fans were just appreciating some of the work he was doing all throughout this match, playing the cowardly heel, playing the crowd villain kind of thing, but they ended up taking to him because he's good at what he does, and people say his work rate is in the ring isn't high enough and all that, but the guy's a worker, man. He can work the crowd.
Yeah, apparently he's a certified G, and you can't teach that. But yeah, no, I mean, Enzo was great in this thing. I gotta say, like, people don't give him credit. Again, that charisma definitely comes off. And I've been saying to people too, go check him out in MLW because he's definitely worked on his ring game a little bit too. This is not the same Enzo you had in WWE. He definitely has taken himself a lot more serious this time around. I've liked Enzo in MLW. I gotta say, I have had no issue with it at all. And I thought his run tonight was fantastic.
Well, and his presentation in MLW so far has been dissimilar to his previous big company job, because there he was treated as a comedy act, more or less. But in MLW, he's presented much more seriously than that, and he's also violent, and he's always injuring people and jumping people from behind. So he plays much more the dark heel part in this company. He hardly ever talks. And he's a violent heel, so he is different than we're all used to seeing him.
Yeah, and I think Pop Smokes broke it down there, Paris, but not the same in WWE as people backstage like him. We can't guarantee that that's still not the case. There's no report saying whether or not people at MLW backstage actually like Real One or not, but definitely the people he's made attacks on definitely don't like him, and we know Jake Fatu being one of them. Just last season, Enzo coming out from the crowd and busting a beer bottle of some sort right across the back of the head of Jacob Fatu, busting him right open. Again, when we talk about a violent Enzo or Real One, this is a violent version of him. This is a lot more of a mean streak. We saw it with Casey Navarro, as he referred to it as tough love that he is teaching to all these independent wrestlers.
Yeah, and again, he did a promo when he faced off against Casey Navarro and beat him in the match, but they haven't hardly even let him talk, which seems to be his bread and butter kind of thing. So they're really turning over the presentation of Real One. Like, he was known as Enzo for a bit, but they've changed his name down to Real One. I think they're just going for something different now than what he was previously.
Exactly. So then down to our final three, Fatu, Enzo, and Killer Cross. And it was Killer Cross and Enzo that were trading back blows back and forth on Jacob Fatu, taking him down, trying to get that cover. Fatu continuing to show that heart and determination, kicking out of every single one of the attempts made by these two. And then at one point, while Enzo was down on the other side of the ring, Killer Cross and Jacob Fatu fighting over by the ropes. And without them looking, Enzo comes in, over to the two of them, grabs him by the legs, and I'm thinking, holy shit, Papa Smokes, you're right. Enzo's going to win this damn thing. He lifts the two of them up, over, and they managed to just barely hang on. And as they do, this was a cool moment. Killer Cross stands up on that apron, and those eyes glaring at Enzo. That death stare that Enzo got, that I'm about to murder you look inside of his eyes. That killer instinct kicked in, and the crowd in New York, you fucked up, starts getting sent to Enzo. Oh boy, he's in trouble.
Yeah, and this was one of the better spots of the match because everyone wanted to see Killer Cross really explode and really lose it on someone. And who better than the real one, right? Who once he got the ire of the big killer, just wanted to backpedal and back down from there. Now he's the cowardly heel trying to get the hell out of there again. And the fans wanted to see something really explosive.
Yeah, they really did. So again, now Killer Cross going after Enzo and being the reason that you'd think that Enzo would go out, but that's not quite the case because his focus was on Enzo. This allowed Jacob Fatu that opportunity to get his licks in on Killer Cross and dump him over the top ropes. Man, that was an awesome spot. And Killer Cross was one pissed off dude at this point.
A lot of the fans you could see were quite surprised by this too, and I mean, I didn't hold any supposition that Killer Cross was going to win this thing because he's not an MLW regular. I don't think they would book him into a world title program at this time. So I didn't ever thought he was going to win it, but you could see that some of the fans were quite surprised, thinking the big guy was going to take home the win.
Yeah, exactly. So we're now left with Enzo and Jacob Fatu. One of these two guys is going to get the opportunity to fight the world heavyweight champion down the road here. And man, Pop Smokes, you kept saying it. Enzo's going to win this thing. Enzo's going to win this thing. We thought that was it. It was almost there. At one point, Enzo gets dumped, but the referee doesn't see it. We thought it was all over. No, the referee doesn't see it. Enzo gets back into this thing and ends up dumping Jacob Fatu over. And we're thinking this thing's all over. Enzo's celebrating like this thing's all over. But what we didn't notice right away, Jacob Fatu landing on the stairs on the outside of the ring, managing not to touch the floor in the process, pulls himself back in, grabs a hold of Enzo, dumps him over the ring. The crowd goes apeshit, Papa Smokes. Jacob Fatu is your victor in this one.
Yeah, and this was well done. I like the finish of this. It made a lot of sense. It was a bit of a swerve for the fans there too, because it kept us guessing, even us, the MLW veterans, it kept us guessing at the end there as to who was going to win. And Jacob Fatu with the big win. This was right. This feels good. They have already been there in this match, but Fatu's going to get back into the world title picture. It only makes sense because he held the belt for so long. He's a main event guy despite whatever card he wrestles on in MLW. He's always going to be a main event guy. So we're going to see, I presume, Hammerstone Fatu Part 2 at some point in the future. Hammerstone looks like he's also got Richard Holiday to deal with right now too. So just like a champion, your dance card is always full.
Yeah, and it really is. I mean, Hammer has got that big target on his back. We know that he's in on an incredible run, both as the champion and previously as the national openweight champion. So Richard Holiday's got him earmarked. We know that Jacob Fatu now is going to have him earmarked with that rematch clause the rematch clause that he never got now that he's earned back. I mean, this is what set up Hammerstone and Fatu last year, which led to Hammerstone winning the championship. Are we about to find the first time ever in history of MLW, the first time somebody has been two-time world heavyweight champion of Major League Wrestling?
Yeah, we absolutely could. I don't know what the state of it is right now, what their plan is, what the creative is thinking right now, but Hammerstone's had a nice long run. I could see them continuing with him as a popular babyface champion, but I could also see them wanting to switch it up. I'm not exactly sure what I would do if I put my booking hat on. I'd have to think about it quite a bit and have a long look at the roster. We still, I guess, don't really know who's going to be around this year. Perhaps that first episode of Fusion next week might make that more clear. But yeah, you could go either way with this. I would think that they would stick with Hammerstone for now, but you can always get a good match out of Fatu no matter what. And these two have shown that they can make magic in the past.
We do know that there is some other matchups that were listed during the tapings that came after the Battle Riot 4 that involve Alexander Hammerstone. So again, chances are we won't be seeing that rematch happen anytime too soon. We know that there are a few obstacles in the way, and who knows, one of those obstacles could end up being someone who stops Hammerstone's run before Fatu gets his hands on him. Just because Fatu is in line for a world championship matchup doesn't mean that Hammerstone will be the champion when it happens.
Yeah, we don't know any of this yet, and the future will become more clear as we get to see some new episodes of Fusion. We got to see the lay of the land. We got to see who's attending this party, who they got under the contract, and who's making the one-shot hits in the company too to flesh out this roster.
Yeah, it's going to be a very interesting season of MLW Fusion coming up. We're going to get to see the official season premiere as of next week. And you know what, Papa Smokes? I'm not going to let you guys go just yet. We want you guys to stick around because our good friends Astrid Pizarro and Cody Defoe are gearing up and getting ready to start their great show, Making an Impact. That's going to be starting here in about approximately 10 to 12 minutes. They're going to message me when they're done. So hang out here with the Video Bros for another 10 minutes or so. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to raid the channel over there and give them the spotlight so they can talk about all things Impact Wrestling. We mentioned that Impact Wrestling, we're making an impact on the Battle Riot here tonight by having Sami Callihan. Again, Sami Callihan might not be our cup of tea, but all the credit to Impact Wrestling. They have a great talent roster over there. They have some very, very strong matchups. Again, I was listening to Busted Open Radio recently, and somebody mentioning that one thing was for sure, Impact Wrestling during the pandemic were probably one of the stronger companies, putting on really strong cards with really great competitors. One of the companies that stayed thriving during the pandemic times.
Yeah, I've heard that. I haven't been watching Impact in recent years. I had a nice run watching TNA Impact around 2010 kind of thing. But yeah, I also think that it'd be a good idea for MLW and Impact to do some crossover stuff. It gets a lot of fan interest going. And I also think as fans or consumers of this product, that we all win too when there's talent sharing, because it always just mixes up the pot a little bit. Few new faces, few new moves, a few different matches, and it keeps the fans happy.
Yeah, and again, now with this deal with Pro Wrestling TV, we know that they have mentioned a few times that this could lead to some possible live events at some point in time. A live event, again, when you're doing tapings, it's kind of hard to go back to live events with what they've been currently running with. However, if they were to do something in the fashion of a crossover with somebody like Impact Wrestling, a one-off, one-night type thing, this is something that they could probably put on Pro Wrestling TV as an adder, something that you pay Pro Wrestling TV, say, 10, 15, 20 bucks or whatever to have that event stream on there. And man, I'll shell out my money for it. If they go ahead with something like that, you guarantee that we're going to be watching it. We're going to be reviewing it. We're going to be doing all that. And if it's a crossover, like I said, our good friends Cody and Astrid would be joining us to watch that. I'm certain of that. And we'd be able to have a good conversation about all things MLW and Impact on the same show.
Well, sounds like fun. We just need our promoters to get it going now.
Yeah, you bet we do. And yeah, it looks like they're going to be starting here in exactly 9 minutes. So we're going to let you guys hang out with us for just a little bit longer. I got the message there. And then we'll get ready to get on over there and raid their channel. They do a fantastic job. And it's one way that I get to learn more about Impact Wrestling. I do get the chance to watch it every once in a while, but I do get to keep up with all the happenings with the best knowledge from two good friends of ours. And that's going to be coming up here shortly. But MLW, that's the Battle Riot comes to an end here, Pop Smokes. I enjoyed this one. This was probably, I'll go and say it. I think I liked this Battle Riot better than any of the other ones. I think that the flow of it, the timing of the guys coming in, and when they came in, the spots, who was involved, this was a excellent battle royal and a battle riot matchup. And kudos Court Bauer, MLW, this promotion through Pro Wrestling TV went off perfectly, absolutely without flaw. Loved it, had a great time. And yes, if this is the way this new season's going, I'm ready to kick it off in a big way.
Yeah, me too. I have nothing but good to say about this event also. And from the perspective that we've watched the previous ones from 1 to, was this number 4? Yeah,
This was
yeah.
4, yeah.
We watched 1 to 3. They suffered from that battle royal kind of affliction sometimes of just slowing down in the middle and being clogged up with too many bodies and too much space being taken up in the ring, and the talent not being able to do their spots properly because there's not enough room in the ring. There's too many guys, and it just turns into a slow slog fest of a bunch of guys kind of just punching and struggling in the corner, kind of pretending like they're trying to dump the guy over the ropes and stuff, but really they're just kind of resting. And there's not much room. You can't run the ropes. You can't really do slams or high impact moves like that because you're probably going to just throw the guy into other competitors in the ring. So this one just paced a little more nicely. Some new competitors coming in and then getting some old ones out too, so that there's never more than 7 or 8 people in the ring at the time.
You bet that's the case. And Auntie Wuji wants to know, what are we drinking tonight, boys? Well, it smells like coffee and Bailey's. It tastes just like coffee and Bailey's too. Yeah, that's why we're having a good time. How about you, Pop Smokes?
I've got German beer here called Stiegel. There we go.
I like the sound of that. How's the Stiegel?
It's quite tasty. I enjoy it. I would try it again.
There we go, Stiegel. We need some promotion here on the show. Maybe Stiegel wants to get on board and supply the Video Bros with a lifetime supply of beer so we can drink Stiegel on Thursday nights.
Hell yeah, that's the sponsor we need.
We sure do. Well, there's one other sponsor that guys like us might need as well too, but I don't know if we're gonna ever get that one. We'll see what happens. I don't know if you can get sponsored by stuff like that, can you?
There's one way to find out. That's
right. Well, if you're out there and you're into the green business of any kind, make sure to reach out to yours truly, the Video Bros, because it's in his damn name. Oh, there we go. We got to point this way. It's in his damn name, Papa Smokes. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, and we'll be happy to demonstrate your product live on the air.
Yeah, what does matter to us? I'm all for it. I mean, we're in Canada; it's legal here. We can go on about it all we want. There's no legalities around that. I don't know exactly what the Twitch community rules are regarding it, but I've seen a few of you sneaky streamers out there. I've been in your stream. I know you've been rolling those blunts, kicking back, smoking them, playing some games. I've been watching because you know what? Particularly, I'm going to the ones that I know I'm seeing that are doing that kind of stuff. When I see names like Flying High 420, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to watch that boy stream here tonight. And he's a fun streamer. I like him. He's good.
Right on.
So, but Papa Smokes, we got about 5 minutes before our good friends are ready to make an impact on the evening. A few things that we should probably talk about. Prairie Pro Wrestling is going to be back in December, right to finish off the 2022 year. We've got a December show on Saturday, September the 10th. More news about that is going to be coming out very soon. And once we find out who some of the competitors are going to be on that card, I think we might have to do a few new episodes, or at least a couple new episodes of the Bro Show, which we debuted there with Colton Kelly. Colton Kelly, damn it, man. Coming out within an inch of becoming the new Prairie Pro Wrestling champion. If it wasn't for that dastardly El Assassino, we might have seen a new champion crowd just last Saturday.
Yeah, we might have. It was looking that way. But the thing is, Colton Kelly made an enemy out of El Assassino, and that was his fatal mistake, because you can never, ever trust the Mexican Devil. He will stab you in the back. He will slam a chair over your back right at the moment when you think you're going to win the championship. And that was his mistake. He made an enemy there, and he'll always have this guy looking over his shoulder the entire time. And Colton Kelly, you ain't going to win when you've got the Mexican Devil on your ass.
That's right. And he mentioned it on our show. In fact, he hasn't made very many friends in the PPW locker room, and that kind of a detriment to him. And that's what ended up unfolding. El Assassino going out there and doing that. Didn't seem like Sheik Akbar Shabazz, the longest reigning champion in Prairie Pro Wrestling history, was all that upset about the situation either.
Yeah, he might have been a little bit confused, but I think he was happy about it because this is another guy now that's had his shot, has gone down to defeat, and has got to go to the back of the line for challengers. And Sheiky Baby won't have to worry about him for a little while. And man, Munson, I said it before when the Sheik first beat Cannonball Kelly for the PPW title. This is going to be a long winter.
It really will. And again, we'll see who ends up stepping up to the plate and getting that title shot at the next Prairie Pro Wrestling show. Hope to see the champ in some sort of capacity against somebody. I think it's going to be a big send-off here for 2022. As always, again, if you want to catch up on any of the Prairie Pro Wrestling action, you can head on over to Prairie Pro Wrestling's YouTube channel, hit the like and subscribe button over there, and catch us every Saturday afternoon, bringing you a brand new matchup featuring myself and Papa Smokes on the commentary team. It is a wonderful time. But we are getting close to the end of the show here, Pop Smokes. Before we end things up, I want you to let the good folks know here, where can they find Papa Smokes if they want to reach out, tell you about some cool matchups, or just, shoot the shit with you?
Well, they can find me on Elon Musk's free speech platform for only $8 a month, of course, at smokes_papa. And I'm also on Twitch at papa_smokes_.
We're all about the money around here. So, Pop Smokes, I think we would be the only ones with a blue check mark before we know it.
Yeah.
But you can check us out in that kind of capacity again every Thursday night here, bringing you MLW action. I think we might be even changing the format a little bit next week, where we're going to be doing a bit of a watch along and review so that we don't counter program with our good friends at Making an Impact. So definitely stick around as we're about to raid their channel as they're about to make an impact there. You could also catch me this Sunday with my Brunch Buster brother, Chris Parrish, on Busting Out as we go completely off the rails. And I just got the message, Papa Smokes, they are ready to go live. So as we are saying our goodbyes here, I am just heading on over so that we can give them a raid as they start their show, Making an Impact. What a great show it is. For those of you that are currently joining us on YouTube, we will have you for a couple of more moments here as we look to raid their channel. Just stick with us. We will be done very shortly. And you know what? I am terrible at doing a raid here, Pop Smokes, but it's been an interesting time for MLW and for everything else, and glad that we're able to get back into this thing. We got some big interviews coming up. Now the new season has started, we will be seeing a lot more coming out of the interview side as well too. We'll see what we got planned. I know that very interesting one reached out to me just yesterday, somebody that we've been working on getting for quite some time. We keep getting missed over there, and it hasn't happened yet, but hopefully it will happen very, very soon. So hopefully you guys are ready. We are about to hit the raid button. We're heading on over to Make an Impact. There we go. And if you're on with us on YouTube, thank you for joining in, and we will see you next Thursday night for more MLW reviews here on Fusion.